What if one of the greatest heroes of the Bible wasn't a king or a warrior, but a woman whose faith and courage changed the fate of a nation? When faced with difficulty, how do you think some leaders maintain their cool and shepherd their followers to success? Faith and resolution may change a nation's fate, as evidenced by the Bible stories of Deborah, Barak, and Jael. Deborah, an amazing biblical heroine, was a brave and knowledgeable leader. As a prophetess and judge over Israel, her sagacity and insight were essential. She was a beloved leader because of her ability to determine divine intent and apply it in court decisions. Deborah guided her colleagues through challenging situations with steadfast focus and direction, much like a ship captain navigating a storm. Deborah's leadership was distinguished by a remarkable depth of insight that was ahead of its time. In her function as prophetess, she assisted her people with their daily concerns and gave them valuable advice from on high. Imagine a leader who could relate to common challenges and deliver answers based on heavenly inspiration. As a result, Deborah stood out during a period of intense oppression in Israel. When persecution is pervasive, having strong leaders available is critical. In the face of Canaanite oppression, Deborah was a light of hope for the Israelites. She was able to inspire and motivate her people to be strong and united, which was an important aspect of her leadership. Deborah led Israel with compassion and firmness, like a beacon directing ships safely. Deborah faced numerous historical and societal obstacles during her lifetime. King Jabin of Canaan oppressed the Israelites because they practiced idolatry and wickedness. Despite the chaos, Deborah's figure emerged as a beacon of light and renewal. She rose to prominence because of her acute judgment, unwavering dedication to God, and determination to restore peace and justice to Israel. Deborah had a deep and long-lasting impact on the Israelites. Her prophecy gift, which allowed her to communicate with God and discern His purpose, gave the Israelites a sense of security and direction. Imagine a society in which the wise men and women in leadership are in complete agreement with the divine teachings. This bond reinforced the people's faith and fostered their pursuit of morality and fairness. Deborah did more than merely lead. She established the standard for other leaders to follow. From a pragmatic standpoint, her experience emphasizes the importance of moral and ethical leadership. Deborah teaches current leaders the importance of listening to and understanding the demands of their followers while being true to their values. This strategy encourages leadership that goes beyond steering. Faith was an essential component of Deborah's leadership style. Her relationship with God served as the foundation for her leadership talents. In addition to spiritual guidance, this friendship provided her with something solid to stand on when making decisions. Leaders who maintain unflinching faith in the face of hardship can provide their team strength and stability. Faith, as Deborah demonstrates, can be a rock-solid basis. The ability to motivate and inspire others is critical for effective leadership. Deborah's lifestyle and religion proved this. She was a brave and motivated leader who did more than simply instruct her followers what to do. Deborah educates current leaders that they must set an example and keep their vision clear and inspiring at all times, particularly amid crises. Deborah had a huge influence on the Bible's annals. Faithful and wise leaders may achieve great things, as her experience demonstrates. Even after all these years, Deborah may still inspire those who strive to lead with honesty and purpose. Despite enormous odds, her life and actions serve as an inspiration, demonstrating that justice and good leadership can prevail. Deborah reminds us that leadership is more than simply giving instructions. It is also about motivating followers and prioritizing their needs over your own. This lesson sets the setting for the next chapter, in which we will see how the persecution of Israel following King Ahab's death demanded the presence of strong leaders like Deborah to help the people overcome their difficulties. Israel saw great upheaval following King Ahab's death. People fell into idolatry and sin because their leaders were ineffective and unjust. Because of this moral and spiritual degeneration, the enemies of the chosen nation were able to empower themselves and begin oppressing them. As previous events have shown, when people cease caring about doing the right thing, it allows other forces to try to take over. Even though it was strictly forbidden in the Bible, the Israelites frequently practiced idolatry. They began to worship pagan deities, ignoring God's prohibitions. Not only did this spiritual betrayal harm Israel's moral fabric, but it also damaged the people's relationship with their Creator. Israel began to wobble, exposed to the damaging impact of other nations, much like a tree with damaged roots. In this deteriorating environment, King Jabin of Canaan rose to power and established his rule over Israel. The Israelites' fragility provided an opportunity for Jabin, a ruthless tyrant, to expand his power. He reigned with an iron grip, oppressive laws, and a powerful military force, which he used to subdue the people. In addition to being a genuine danger, Jabin's apparition represented God's wrath upon Israel for adultery. Jabin and his leader Sisera played critical roles in their united effort to subdue Israel. The Israelites were startled by Sisera's notoriously ruthless and efficient army, which was equipped with iron chariots. When he was on the battlefield, God's people experienced defeat and despondency. Sisera's visage came to symbolize the Israelites' suffering at the hands of the Canaanites. The military rule affected every aspect of the Israelites' lives. In addition to living in constant fear of violence, they were forced to abandon their harvests and pay exorbitant tributes. Community disintegration caused widespread panic. The persistent pressure created an atmosphere of hopelessness and submission, making it more difficult to mobilize resistance against the oppressors. Sin and idolatry undermined Israel, causing internal discord that Jabin and Sisera took advantage of. Resistance activities were hampered by a lack of coherence and agreed objectives. As history has shown, when a population deviates from its fundamental beliefs, it becomes more vulnerable to negative influences. The Israelites' ability to stand together in the face of the Canaanite invasion was reduced by idolatry, which fostered societal disintegration. Despite the tribulations, some Israelites remained optimistic and faithful. They prayed for a rescuer who would set them free and found peace in God's promises. In the midst of their oppression, their unwavering faith provided strength, assuring them that God had not abandoned his people. People who refused to give up often sought divine guidance and prayed constantly. Spiritual leaders emerged to shepherd the people in the face of persecution. Deborah, a prophetess and judge, was one such individual. Under her leadership, the Israelites gained new hope and faith in God. It is widely acknowledged that spiritual leaders play a critical role in keeping communities unified and committed during times of crisis. Deborah, who led Israel with courage and wisdom, exemplified this criteria. Despite its brutality, Canaanite tyranny provided the foundation for a heavenly intervention. The Israelites increasingly recognized the importance of returning to God and seeking his protection. Deborah, who was willing to respond to God's call and lead her people to freedom, was one of many great leaders who thrived during this period of spiritual awakening. Being spiritually prepared was critical for the approaching victory. After all of this spiritual preparation, Deborah called Barak, the army leader who would battle Sisera. Faith and daring action can bring liberation even under the most trying circumstances. As demonstrated in the following section of the story, when Deborah, inspired by God's inspiration, summoned Barak to lead an army against the oppressors. Deborah understood God's command in light of his knowledge. It was time to shatter the Canaanite yoke and set Israel free. She approached Barak, a revered and fierce military commander, without hesitation, as if her mission were being guided by a higher authority. Despite the difficulties her people endured, Deborah's beliefs and visions shone brightly, providing hope. Deborah called Barak, and he was in a pickle. He was conscious of how serious things were, and that he needed to take action, but he also felt a sense of duty. Even though he was hesitant, he eventually asked Deborah to fight beside him, since he knew she would offer him strength and motivation. He not only asked Deborah for assistance, but he also recognized he required spiritual guidance. Barak's reluctance serves as a powerful reminder of the need of trust and faith in difficult circumstances. When confronted with a major issue, it is natural to feel terrified and unsure. However, at these difficult times, faith may be our best friend, bringing the tenacity and insight we require to persevere. Deborah exemplified this living faith, which could move mountains and alter hearts by her presence and encouraging words. Deborah and Barak began preparing a strategy to fight Sisera's powerful army jointly. They made the wise decision to hold the battle on Mount Tabor, a strategically important location. To maximize their chances of victory in the face of such a formidable opponent, they needed to plan ahead and prepare adequately. This case study in strategic planning serves as a good reminder of the importance of being well prepared and making sound judgments in all facets of life. Deborah's influence as an inspiration and spiritual leader is tremendous. She was a constant reminder that God was with Barak, and her presence was reassuring. In addition to spiritual guidance, she bolstered morale by encouraging soldiers to be brave and determined. A leader's capacity to excite and inspire followers is critical to the accomplishment of any goal. It was a difficult but necessary effort to prepare the Israeli army's 10,000 men. It was critical that the troops be emotionally and physically prepared for the battle ahead. Deborah and Barak worked tirelessly to build a well-prepared and inspired army. This level of planning and devotion demonstrates the power of common purpose and vision. Deborah and Barak's leadership partnership exemplifies teamwork and mutual respect. The partnership benefited immensely from the complementary skill sets that each member brought to the table. We can all benefit significantly from this collaborative leadership style, which emphasizes the value of listening to and learning from a diverse range of individuals in our daily lives. Deborah and Barak's friendship exemplified trust and true respect throughout the campaign. Deborah admired Barak for his bravery and military prowess, while Barak was known for his spiritual understanding. This collaborative effort demonstrates how confidence and admiration can strengthen any endeavor, from a long-ago struggle to a present undertaking. Deborah and Barak were ready to face Sisera and his army, after finishing their preparations and devising a strategy. Their next destination on their pilgrimage would be the decisive battle atop Mount Tabor, the final test of their faith, bravery, and knowledge. With unwavering trust in divine intervention, the atmosphere was charged with anticipation and anxiety, as they prepared for a victory that could change Israel's fate. The last-ditch attempts to prepare for battle were both critical and difficult. All of Israel's soldiers, led by Barak and Deborah, were ready to engage the Canaanite army head-on. Anxiety and unshakable faith in divine intervention coexisted in the air. Everyone knew that the fate of Israel will be decided at the clash on Mount Tabor. The troops felt a mix of exhilaration and worry. Some had their first real combat, while others faced their oppressors again. Deborah's presence brightened their spirits, as she exuded serenity and confidence. During her time with the men, She delivered words of faith and encouragement, reminding them that God was with them. Deborah spoke of the divine promise of victory in a calm and strong tone. She encouraged the warriors that God would eventually decide their fate, even in the face of Sisera's iron chariots. Her words served as a mooring buoy for terrified people, providing them with the courage to confront the foe. Because the outcome of a conflict is determined by one's spirit rather than one's armament, motivation was critical. With courage and commitment, Barak led his soldiers to victory. He was aware that conveying an aura of confidence and composure was critical to maintaining strong morale. Barak underlined that the war was for the liberation of their families, homes, and communities. He fearlessly led his men into combat, confident that God would eventually bring them victory. The iron chariots of Sisera's army were stunning and fearsome. These technologically advanced battleships represented Canaan's might. With Deborah's encouragement and Barak's guidance, the Israelites were ready to face the threat posed by the sound of chariots passing over the battlefield. When the conflict broke out on Mount Tabor, there was a furious struggle. At first glance, Sisera's iron chariots appeared unstoppable, charging forward with incredible power. It was obvious that the Canaanites possessed technological advantages, and the Israelites were in for a tough war. Despite this, Deborah and Barak remained steadfast in their resistance to the enemy's onslaught, motivated by their confidence in divine intervention. The Canaanite army's early supremacy seemed to confirm the Israelites' worst fears. Sisera appeared to be gaining an advantage in the combat, as his iron chariots effortlessly ripped through the opposing force. Barak and Deborah, however, maintained their confidence. They knew God was with them, and the outcome of the battle was unpredictable. Then traces of supernatural intervention began to emerge. The sky got gloomy, and heavy rain began to fall unexpectedly. Near the battleground, the Kishon River began to overflow. The unexpected deluge demonstrated that God was on Israel's side, turning the once dry terrain into a deadly quagmire. The Canaanite army was thrown into disorder as the Kishon River overflowed, flooding the battlefield. Sisera's one true advantage, his iron chariots, were engulfed in mud. Something in nature that could only have been caused by God was able to weaken the adversary. At this critical juncture, the battle's momentum swung in favor of the Israelites. The Canaanite army was exposed because Sisera's iron chariots were stuck in the mud. With the chariots' advantages rendered null and void, the Israelites used the chance to launch a resurgent counterattack. Their advantage was now clear, and the determination of every Israeli soldier was unmistakable. The fight's result was influenced at this critical juncture. Now that the iron chariots were rendered useless, the Israelites launched a ferocious attack. They fought fiercely, led by Barak and encouraged by Deborah. Deborah and Barak's bravery on the battlefield demonstrated their faith and cautious planning. The faith that would eventually lead to victory was becoming a reality. Regardless of the scenario, the Israeli troops' courage shone through. They fought with unyielding determination, fully aware that their people's liberty was at risk. They gained immense strength from their confidence in Deborah and Barak's leadership, as well as God's involvement. They fought not just physically, but also emotionally, motivated by a common sense of purpose in their goal. Sisera fled the battlefield in a panic as he saw his army defeated and his iron chariots bogged in mud. He decided he needed to move away from the conquering Israelites if he wanted to live. He was on the run, looking for a safe place to plan his escape. His fate was precariously balanced, and the realization filled him with fear and uncertainty. After exhausted all other options, Sisera landed at Heber the Kenites' camp. Because of their reputation for impartiality throughout the Israelite war, Sisera hoped to find refuge with Heber and his family. Jael, Heber's wife, greeted him when he arrived. Sisera was clearly in agony as he appealed for shelter, hoping against hope that the Israelites would leave him alone. Jael, a woman of great strength and resolve, enthusiastically greeted Sisera. In her tent, she extended an invitation, offering him a drink and a place to sleep. Despite her tiredness, Sisera accepted the invitation, since she felt comfortable under the provided protection. He had no notion Jael was doing bad things. Sisera's disastrous mistake was to place his trust in Jael's benevolence. To help Sisera relax and fall asleep faster, Jael offered him milk instead of water. Her gentle nature and calming comments made him feel at peace. When Sisera felt safe, he let down his guard. He drifted off, unaware of his imminent tragedy. Jael's tent, which appeared to be a secure sanctuary, would become his final resting place. While Sisera slept, Jael bravely made a decision. Sisera constituted a continual threat to Israel, and she was aware that Deborah's prophecy would have to be fulfilled. In his determination to act, Jael retrieved a hammer and a tent peg. She snuck up on Sisera quietly as he lay helpless in his slumber. She slammed the peg into Sisera's temple with such power that he died immediately. Jael's actions brought about the fulfillment of Deborah's prophecy, which promised that a woman would receive glory for defeating Sisera. Her tenacity and resolve determined the result of this vital conflict. Following Sisera's death, the Israelites were finally free of Canaanite dominion, ushering in a golden period of peace and prosperity. An unexpected heroine arose from the seemingly commonplace Jael. The Israelites quickly learned about Sisera's death. When the Israeli forces and authorities learned of Jael's bravery, they were both amazed and grateful. Not only did Jael's actions secure the victory, but it also inspired the Israelites to believe in God's ability to work in their lives. Surprisingly, Deborah's belief in God's intervention had been confirmed. The Israelite army was overjoyed and relieved to hear of Sisera's death. They recognized Sisera was no longer a threat and that they had won the battle. Everyone commended Jael for her bravery, believing that her actions were an indication of God's intention. Overcoming Sisera represented more than just defeating an oppressor. It also demonstrated the power of faith and the sanctity of divine justice. PM. During the fight, Jael's actions had far-reaching implications. When Sisera died, the Canaanites' morale sank and their resistance organization disbanded. A sensation of vigor and vitality swept over the Israelites. PM. The victory demonstrated that if one remains devoted and dedicated, one can overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. Jael's story inspired future generations. Jael's crucial role in the independence of Israel won her the title of heroine. Legends and songs celebrating her bravery and fearlessness have lasted for centuries. Her brave actions inspired everyone who faced difficulty in their own life. Jael demonstrated that genuine bravery can arise from the most unlikely origins. PM. The death of Sisera sealed the victory for the Israelites. In response to God's miraculous intervention, the Israelites celebrated with song and dance. The leaders and heroes Jael, Deborah, and Barak were all honored. But Israel's journey was far from finished. The next step would be to remember the victory and the divine intervention that enabled it through Deborah's song. Jael's fortitude and the historical context in which she lived make her a remarkable biblical figure. Jael, like Heber the Kenite's wife, belonged to a tribe that remained warily neutral in the midst of Canaanite-Israeli conflict. Her stunning and significant action against Sisera, which established her as an unexpected heroine in Israel's narrative, was bolstered by her neutral position. While the Israelites and Canaanites were at war, Heber and his family chose not to take sides. Living in peace required a delicate political balance, but their neutrality made it possible. However, Jael shown enormous bravery and determination by breaching this neutrality and murdering Sisera. Her behavior was made the more startling and momentous by the fact that her family remained neutral. Jael's role in Israeli history is essential. By slaying Sisera, she fulfilled Deborah's prophecy, as well as liberated her people from Canaanite rule. Her actions demonstrated that heroes may be found in the most unlikely places, and that seemingly insignificant people can have a huge impact on history. Jael's decision to murder Sisera required great fortitude. Jael demonstrated bravery by bravely using her brains and resolve to defeat an enemy commander in a world where physical force was usually employed to determine value. She demonstrated that courage may take unexpected shapes when acting out of a desire for justice and the protection of her people. Jael took action against Sisera for clear reasons: to save Israel and fulfill Deborah's prophecy. She made this decision knowing full well the dangers it would bring, but her desire to free Israel outweighed her worries. Jael's unshakable belief in the importance of her people's well-being drove her to take bold action. Jael's bravery and resolve shine through in all she does. Knowing that the Israelites would finally be free and relieved, she seized the opportunity to slay Sisera. Her rapid, forceful, and effective action proved her inner strength and commitment to the cause of Israel. When Israel first witnessed Jael's deed, they were astounded and startled. Quickly, word spread that the feared Canaanite leader had been assassinated by a woman, specifically a lady from a neutral tribe. The prophecy came true, and Jael was elevated to a position of great acclaim and esteem among the Israelites as a result of her actions. Sisera's death had immediate and far-reaching ramifications. The Canaanite army's swift fall, headed by their leaderless forces, allowed the Israelites to secure their victory. Jael's deed marked a watershed moment in history, bringing an end to Canaanite hegemony. Her fortitude was important in Israel's rescue. Jael became a symbol of bravery and faith among the Israelites. Her story was passed down through the generations, inspiring others to believe in the transformational power of courage and supernatural intervention. Courage and faith can win even in the darkest of times, as Jael proved. She demonstrated that having faith in God may bring about success. Jael achieved the amazing fulfillment of Deborah's prophecy that a woman would take credit for defeating Sisera. This fulfillment reinforced the role of women in the biblical story, while also confirming Deborah's leadership and vision. This prophecy came true as a result of Jael's courageous act, which highlighted the significant role women played in Israel's history. Jael was named a national hero in appreciation of her bravery and the significance of her actions. Her name became synonymous with courage and unwavering belief. The Israelites remembered her as a symbol of bravery and devotion to God. Jael's story repeatedly emphasized the need of faith and bold action. You can't miss Jael's important position in the Bible story. Her narrative exemplifies a person's ability to make a difference, regardless of position or status, as well as the potential for divine intervention. Jael exemplified the concept of drawing power from within and having faith in order to overcome any obstacle. Jael's life will have a long-lasting impact. Her story is frequently regarded as a striking testament to the strength of faith and courage. Successive generations looked to her as an example to follow. Jael came to represent the strength of faith and will to overcome any challenge. Her tale can inspire others who are struggling. When compared to other daring historical figures, Jael is among the best. Many courageous people, including military leaders and justice advocates, have drawn courage from her example. True bravery is timeless and transcends gender, class, and circumstance, as Jael's act proves. Faith and brave action are the driving reasons behind her story, which everyone can identify with. Deborah's song, a celebration of human bravery and supernatural support, immortalizes Jael's victory. In addition to celebrating the victory, this song emphasizes the importance of faith and bravery. It is a poignant and beautiful description of Jael's role in Israel's liberation, setting the stage for what is to follow in the God's people narrative. Deborah and Barak's duet is one of the Bible's most poignant and beautiful passages. In this hymn from the book of Judges, the Israelites celebrate the incredible victory that God has bestowed on them, following the defeat of Sisera and his iron chariots. Barak and Deborah sang a hymn of praise to God, thanking him for his intervention and applauding the troops' heroism. Deborah's song not only commemorates historical events, but it also conveys a powerful message of gratitude and trust. Songs like this served to commemorate great victories, while also imparting important spiritual and moral values within Israel's historical and cultural framework. It served to commemorate God's actions and inspired future generations to do the same. The major topic of the song is a joyful celebration of triumph, as well as God's participation. Deborah and Barak begin by thanking God for their victory, acknowledging that it was a gift from above. They acknowledge that winning the conflict would have been impossible without God's help. Being appreciative is a powerful reminder of how important it is to appreciate God's participation in our lives, especially when we are successful. The hymn praises Deborah and Barak for their bravery, emphasizing their vital role as Israelite leaders. The Israelites remembered Deborah as a mother figure who guided them through difficult times with her wisdom and strength. Barak's praise stems from his bravery in the battlefield, devotion to a heavenly command, and unwavering trust in leading his men. Furthermore, the song recognizes Jael's bravery. The fact that she made the decisive action to kill Sisera validates her status as the most blessed of women. This song portrays the narrative of Jael, a common lady who becomes a hero through her faith and heroic actions. This appreciation emphasizes the importance of each individual in respect to the plan from on high. Poetically, the song paints a vivid and uplifting picture of struggle and success. God appears to be getting engaged in the war through images of storms, overflowing rivers, and iron chariots stuck in the mud. This rich and innovative prose does more than just describe what happened. It also portrays the awe and astonishment that comes with seeing a demonstration of divine power. The song emphasizes the importance of standing together in faith. Deborah and Barak both emphasize the importance of the Israelite tribes sticking together and having faith in God under all circumstances. Because of their everlasting dedication to one another, God's people were able to overcome unfathomable challenges. The song primarily addresses leaders who are inspired by God. Deborah exhibits divine leadership as a prophetess and judge who guides a nation through tough times. The song's message is that God-led leaders are valuable and should be admired and followed since they serve as tools for God's will. Throughout the song, there is a sense of gratitude to God for rescue. Deborah and Barak often thank God for assisting them in winning, claiming that it was God's kindness and grace. This appreciation demonstrates the importance of appreciating and expressing gratitude to God for the blessings in our lives. And it serves as an example to everyone. The song also addresses topics such as persecution and salvation. It transports the audience back to the period when the Israelites were enslaved by the Canaanites, and how God responded their pleas for mercy. This reflection serves as a gentle reminder that whoever retains their faith will one day experience divine restoration, no matter how severe their suffering. The song clearly calls for justice and loyalty. Deborah and Barak encouraged the Israelites to preserve their faith in God and to constantly seek justice. The success was their reward for being faithful to God, and they understand that if they want God's gift to last, they must do the right thing. The song inspires future generations. It serves as a powerful example of faith in action by portraying the story of divine triumph and human bravery. This historical and spiritual motivation encourages people to believe in God and pursue bold, decisive action. The song inspired much of Israelite culture. The symbol of faith and triumph became embedded in oral and written tradition, passing down through the ages. The stories of Jael, Barak, and Deborah consistently encouraged the Israelites by emphasizing God's power and the importance of bravery and trust. Words and faith have the power to leave a lasting impression, as this song has. It continues to be studied, sung, and remembered as an example of heavenly intervention and inspired leadership. Deborah's song celebrates more than just a military victory. It is both an affirmation of trust and a demonstration of God's tremendous hand. The triumph and happy celebration represented in the hymn brought peace and prosperity to Israel. Jael's boldness and Deborah's leadership marked the beginning of a new era for God's people. Many generations would remember and celebrate this peace, which was the result of faith and divine intervention, and it would cement Deborah's legacy as one of Israel's greatest leaders. Jael, Barak, and Deborah's story can teach us about faith, bravery, and inspired leadership. True leadership is founded on faith in God and obedience to His orders. Deborah demonstrated this by guiding Israel through difficult times with her wisdom and strength. Faith and mutual support can boost one's courage, as Barak demonstrated by responding to the divine call despite his reservations. Furthermore, Jael's abrupt and daring move serves as a reminder that courage can arise from the most unexpected places and moments. These incidents prompt us to reflect on our own life. How might we demonstrate Barak's courage, Jael's resolve, and Deborah's unwavering faith? In the face of adversity, we must trust in God's intervention, lead with honesty and boldness, and maintain humility. No matter how bad things go, we can still have a beneficial impact on the world. Consider these ideas and how you might apply them in your daily life. How can you be a bold leader who believes in what you're doing and advocates for those you lead? In moments of doubt, how can you strengthen your confidence in God? Deborah, Barak, and Jael's story teaches us that we can do anything we set our minds to. Subscribe to the channel and enable notifications to receive more inspiring stories and advice on how to apply these concepts. Together, we have the potential to improve our lives and the lives of people around us by developing more wisdom, bravery, and faith.